Our first box for Monday says choose the best transition to fill in the blank. We started talking about transitions last week. We said transitions are the way you move from one idea to another idea. Here they give us two sentences, and in between they have a blank. The blank is at the beginning of the second sentence. They want us to use a transition word to change from this first idea to the second one. The sentences say, the tiny ant helps the environment. Blank, they keep insect populations down, disperse seeds, and fertilize the soil. They give us four answer choices, four things, four different transitions that we could try using and see which one works the best. We have at least, we have for example, we have finally, and we have on the other hand. So let's try them out. I'm going to go in order, and I'm just going to put the answer choice in the blank spot, and we'll see what we think. The tiny ant helps the environment. At least they keep insect populations down, disperse seeds, and fertilize the soil. Now we'll try the next answer choice. The tiny ant helps the environment. For example, they keep insect populations down, disperse seeds, and fertilize the soil. Now we can try answer choice C. The tiny ant helps the environment. Finally, they keep insect populations down, disperse seeds, and fertilize the soil. Then we have answer choice D. The tiny ant helps the environment. On the other hand, they keep insect populations down, disperse seeds, and fertilize the soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the name of an answer choice. And if you think that answer choice sounded the best, I just want you to raise your hand. So if you thought answer choice A, at least, sounds the best, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. If you think answer choice B, for example, sounds the best, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. If you think answer choice C, finally, sounds the best, I want you to raise your hand. All right. And if you think answer choice D, on the other hand, sounds the best, I want you to raise your hand. Okay. For this example, I don't want to say at least. At least is like something that you would do if you're kind of trying to find the good thing or the best thing about a bad situation. Like if it was raining and you couldn't go outside and your brother didn't want to play with you, you could say something like, well, at least there's a good movie on. At least is when you're trying to show one positive thing out of some negative situation, usually. I wouldn't want to use C either. Finally, we use when you get to the end of something. When there's been a lot of examples or a lot of explanation, finally is the way that you tell everyone that's it. That's it. Finally, this. Just like if you were waiting for a long time, you might say finally. Yes, Jadine.
But now you just said finally.
You would use it if you finished your explanation. So if you were giving examples, like if I said, Jadine, what's a good kind of ice cream? And if you started giving me a list of good ice creams and you said, well, vanilla is really good, and so is chocolate, and then chocolate chip, and then also mint, and then also cherry, and then also caramel, and then also strawberry. And then when you get to the end of your examples or the end of you explaining, you would say, finally, I don't know, pistachio is also really good. So finally is when you've already spent a lot of time explaining or giving examples and you get to the end. Kind of, yeah. So they haven't really told us a whole lot. It's not like we've been waiting a very long time, so that's why finally doesn't really work here. There'd have to be a lot of things happening before for me to say finally. Like when you get to the end of the story, you might say finally. Like finally,
Yeah.
finally the princess escaped and she got away from the dragon. But you wouldn't say that at the beginning of the story. You wouldn't say finally the princess was in the tower and the dragon kept her there, because that doesn't make sense at the beginning of the story or when you haven't really been waiting for a long time. Just like that. D, on the other hand, it's kind of a tricky one. When you use on the other hand, like answer choice D, what you're trying to show is like an opposite. So if you said, I really like broccoli. On the other hand, my sister hates vegetables. So when you say on the other hand, you're trying to show that you have something that's the opposite of what you just said. Yes, Kylie. Uh-huh. Oh, that's cool. It's good to hear. Maybe you can learn some facts about your brother's potential new college. Okay, but for this answer choice and for this example, the best one to choose would be B. For example, the reason why I want to use that as my transition is because they tell me in the first sentence that tiny ants help the environment. If I look at that second sentence, they're giving me examples of how they help. They keep insect populations down. That means they keep other bugs from being around. They disperse seeds, so they go and they spread the seeds of the plants everywhere. And they fertilize the soil, which means they make the soil better for other plants to grow. All of those are good examples of how the ants help. So, answer choice B is the best one to pick for today. I'm going to drag my circles over before I get started here. That way I don't have to go back and forth. Okay. Circle the relative pronoun. Okay. This one can, it's kind of similar to some of the ones that we've done before. They give us a sentence. They have not really a blank space, but they give us two options. And they want us to kind of say or circle which word we think really belongs in that sentence. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to read the sentence and then we're going to use our circle and we're going to select whichever word we think best fits that sentence, or which one should be in that sentence. Okay. The first sentence says, I am the person blank dropped the money. So it's either I am the person who dropped the money or I am the person whom dropped the money. Who wants to take a guess? I know it's Monday, it's the first time we're seeing this, but who wants to take a guess which one it might be? Chase, which one do you think it is? First one or the second one? This one would be who. I am the person who dropped the money. Okay. The next sentence, Jacob read the book blank has cartoons in it. Jacob read the book who has cartoons in it? Or Jacob read the book that has cartoons in it. Bella, which one do you think? The first word or the second word? Okay, the second word. So Jacob read the book that has cartoons in it. Because Jacob is not the one who has cartoons in him. If Jacob were to somehow like look inside his mouth or something, there wouldn't be cartoons on his cheeks or on his tongue or anything. They're in the book. Next sentence. Grandma is the person blank takes care of me. Grandma is the person who takes care of me, or grandma is the person which takes care of me. Sorry. Noah, what do you think? The first one or the second one? Who? Grandma is the person who takes care of me. Because we're talking about a person, talking about grandma. Okay. Connor is the boy blank toe is broken. Connor is the boy which toe is broken, or Connor is the boy whose toe is broken. Jadine, what do you think? Whose toe is broken? Because the toes belong to him. They're not asking which one of your toes is broken, like they're looking at his foot and trying to figure it out. All right. Let's take a look at our sentence. Just like normal, we have a sentence. It's got some mistakes that are hanging out in there. So what we need to do is we need to find all the mistakes, make our sentence perfect. Mrs. Rupka speaks Chinese, Japanese, and Hindu. There's a few mistakes in here. There's a lot of punctuation this week, but who can tell me what's one mistake that they have in this sentence? Alexa? Okay. Very good. We capitalize Mrs. and we capitalize Rupka. Mrs. for two reasons. Number one, it's her title. Number two, it is the beginning of a sentence, so it needs to be capitalized. Rupka needs to be capitalized because it is her name. Anyone's name gets capitalized. Kylie, what's another mistake? Very good. They gave us a list. 3 different languages that Mrs. Rupka speaks. Chinese is one. Japanese is another. Hindu is another. So we need to make sure that we separate those languages with commas. So between Chinese and between Japanese and the word and. Jadine. You are absolutely correct. The languages she speaks need to be capitalized because they are specific languages. It's not just Mrs. Rupka speaks something. She speaks those languages. So we need to make sure that they are capitalized. They're being specific. Okay. We have 2 mistakes left. Both of them are punctuation. 2 more mistakes in this sentence that we need to fix. 2 more punctuation mistakes. So it might be something very small, something easy to miss, so we have to look carefully. What else is wrong with this sentence? Jadine, you think you found another one? Okay, I need a period at the end of the sentence. Always, I need some kind of punctuation, and they're not asking us anything. They're not surprised or shouting. Okay, 1 more mistake. Kylie, what do you think? Very good. I need another period after the S in Mrs. So Mrs., if you were to actually spell it out, is much longer. MRS is like a shortening of that word, so we always put a period afterwards. Same thing with Mr. Mr. or Miss, there's Mr., Miss, or Mrs. always has a period behind it. So our complete sentence, our correct sentence, should be capital Mrs. period, capital. Rupka speaks, capital. Chinese, comma, capital. Japanese, comma, and capital. Hindu, period. Our sentence this week was mostly capitalization and punctuation mistakes, but you all found them pretty quickly, which is really, really good. Okay. This this part of our page today is just asking us, it's giving us two sentences, and they look pretty similar, but one of them is a little bit wrong. The way that they order their adjectives is off. So we need to pick which version of the sentence has the adjectives in the correct order. Question 1, or I guess example 1, has two versions. A, I love juicy big hamburgers. Or B, I love big juicy hamburgers. Who do you or who can tell me which answer choice you think has the correct version? Kylie, what do you think? A or B? Is it juicy big hamburgers or big juicy hamburgers? B. It is big juicy hamburgers. We put the size in front of the, I guess this would be like a texture kind of. It's the way it feels in your mouth. It's juicy. It's not dry and crumbly. What about example 2? We have A, Jack climbed the tall old oak tree. Or B, Jack climbed the old tall oak tree. Don't worry, Violet. Remember, I always go back and show the entire page afterward. So if you need to go back and catch up on a part, you'll have the opportunity. Who thinks they can tell me about 2? Which one is it, A or B? Bella, what do you think? A. Jack climbed the tall old oak tree. We talk about the size before we talk about the age of something. Okay, this last part is pretty familiar to us now. We've got 2 sentences, and they want us to combine them, make it into one sentence. The sentences say, the queen ant and the male ant have wings. The workers have no wings. We have 2 options, 2 ways to combine them. A says, the queen ant and the male ant have wings. The workers have no wings. Or B, the queen ant and the male ant have wings, but the workers have no wings. Which answer choice is the better way to combine these sentences? Noah, A or B? Which one do you think?
A.
A. The queen ant and the male ant have wings, the workers have no wings. So they did 2 things here. Number 1, they added a comma after the queen ant. And B, second thing they did, they changed the period into a comma. Changing the period into a comma is, I guess you could say, like halfway the right thing to do. But that doesn't make the sentence correct. The other thing that they did that I want to focus on is here. They put a comma and a conjunction, one of our fanboy words. We've talked about that before. If you use a comma and a conjunction, a fanboy word, you have to have 2 complete sentences. Look at just the beginning of that. The queen ant. I believe that the queen ant. That's not a complete sentence. It's missing the predicate. We have a subject, but we don't know what about the queen ant. If I look behind it, it says the male ants have wings. Okay, that's a complete sentence. The workers have no wings. If I put all of that together, that's a run-on sentence. That's two sentences put together incorrectly. It's too much for one sentence. What I need to do is in answer choice B, instead of putting the comma here, they put it where the period was, and then they added a conjunction, a fanboy word. I believe that the queen ant and the male ant have wings. That's a complete sentence. I believe that the workers have no wings. That's also a complete sentence. And they chose to use the conjunction but because they're showing an opposite. Some of the ants, like the queen ant and the male ant, have wings so they can fly around. But in the opposite of that, the worker ants have no wings. So my answer for today should be B. They do have a comma and conjunction here in answer choice A. They just have it in the wrong place. Okay. If there's any part of our page that you're missing or that you need to fix, here's our page. You can go ahead, go back to it, and fix whatever it is that you're missing.